Okay, Dee. Now, just so everyone knows, you and I both are from Boston, Massachusetts. Yes?
Yes.
Woohoo! Okay.
Woo! Boston
And
strong always.
that's right. So we have this kinship and understanding of certain things. And
Yep.
I just shared with Dee that, I had 10 years in the military, and Dee supports and works with DOD. So
Hmm.
we're going to talk a little bit about her business, and she's going to share some tips around how to get paid, how to collect your money, and she's going to share her story around why this is such a passion for her. And hopefully what she's going to share is going to be helpful for you if you work in the same environment. So, Dee, take it away.
Well, good afternoon, Kim. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity to share with the listening audience. First of all, hi everybody. Happy New Year. This is Dee Bowden with BCS Solutions. As Kim stated, I'm originally from Boston. Boston strong always. I also am a New England Patriots fan. I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, so I'm really all the way in live with that's the first thing. Secondly, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about me. So like I said, I'm originally from Boston. Um, I got my start in the government receivables contract administration field almost 25 years ago. And I started off literally being a data entry person. I used to work in an environmental engineering consulting firm where I used to get stacks of invoices, literally data enter in all the invoices. And I learned at that point how important details, accounts, and invoices were in the system. It was one part of the process that dealt with contract administration. I spent a year as a AP specialist, and then I became an assistant contract administrator, and then I actually became a contract administrator. So that's kind of how I got into this. And so because of that, in contract administration, you're dealing with sales, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and actually the contract. So that was kind of like the groundwork for me getting into this. So fast forward almost 20 years ago, I got started as a contract closeout specialist. And so I got trained on how the government actually recovers their money when contracts are awarded. So contracts are basically awarded, there's a transaction takes place, and then I'm on this tail end of it recovering the money. So that's kind of the short piece on the government side. The real story I want to talk to you all about is about BCS Solutions and what happened. So about 10 years ago, I worked for a small IT firm, and they had $8 million worth of sales that were outstanding, and no one had ever collected it. And so they gave it to me to collect this. And so I was astonished that there was $8 million that was outstanding that like nobody said, how come we don't have this money, or what happened with the sales? And so they gave me the $8 million to collect. I took a moment to kind of figure this out, and then I realized that there were some disconnects. And so I worked on it for 60 days, and I recovered $6 million, which is phenomenal. But even though collecting $6 million, that did not prevent the company from going out of business. And that's why I'm on this show today, to talk about what happened. So here's the thing. There were $8 million worth of sales. $6 million was collected. But 2 months before Christmas, the CEO came out and said, listen, I want to thank you for your service. Appreciate all y'all. But the company's called Amherst Technology. If you Google it, under Merrimack, New Hampshire, they don't exist. We lost our jobs. And that began a real passion for me to say, how is it that a company that could have that much money in sales and it not be recovered, and that no one asked the question about what happened? I call it the disconnects. And so the disconnects to me usually are based around sales, basically, the transaction of selling something, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and then contracts. I firmly believe everybody who goes into business to make money, whatever your product or your service is. And you should believe that you're going to get paid in a timely fashion for your product or your service. The fact that company had that much money outstanding and there weren't enough concerns around it, and the fact that we all lost our jobs made me go on a mission to understand collections better. Also began to raise awareness around accounts receivable. I know most people, when they think about collections, accounts receivable, they'd rather go get a root canal. They just don't want to have to deal with asking anybody for money. And I get it, because think about it. You've already done this great sales presentation. You explain the bells, the whistles, et cetera, about what your product or your service is, and then you got the contract. But what most people forget is this: even though you've done the sale isn't completed until you actually perform the product or service, and then actually get paid. And the fact that there are tons of companies that have all these sales that are outstanding, but the money isn't in the bank. And so I'm on a mission to raise awareness around, yes, do the best job at selling whatever your product or service is, but don't forget that the sale isn't completed until you actually get paid for what you do. And for people to understand that collections is not the, I'm out to, I can think what some of the images are people have about collections are, it's dialing for dollars, it's the IRS, it's, somebody's gonna break your knees. It's not. This is not that kind of collections. It's not that kind of party. It's not that kind of party at all. It's more about understanding that collections is an extension of customer service, and the fact that you as a business owner should be concerned about, of course, the state of your flocks. How many accounts do you have? How much money is supposed to be coming in 30 days, and 60 days, and 90 days. When it gets past the 60-day mark, that ought to be raising a flag. You should be thinking about, okay, I sold this product or service, I'm billing and getting it billed, and I'm expecting to get paid in, say, 60 days. On the 61st day, just out of practice, it ought to be something, either whether it's you or someone on your team, should be making those follow-up phone calls to find out, hey, what's the state of this invoice? What's going on? Is there a disconnect? Did something happen? Did we miss something? And how about this? How about making sure that what you sold actually got delivered? That sometimes is as simple as a follow-up phone call. Did you, the customer, get what we promised you? And let them tell you. And if they didn't, then do yourself a favor, be quiet, take notes, adjust, fix it, and then follow up and make sure you're getting paid. That's part of what's so important around collections, because a lot of people, like I said earlier, a lot of people would rather go get a root canal. They'd rather not deal with it, because I understand it's a very touchy relationship. But here's the thing. Well, as I said earlier, you're in business to make money. If you don't make any money, you're not going to be around long.
Well, that's the part I love about being a coach. We get our money up front. We don't have that collection problem. So if you don't get your money up front, you may be facing this situation that Dee's talking about, chasing behind your money and having to keep track of people paying you for the services you delivered.
Right. And the other thing about that too, Kim, is that I realize that as I'm telling this story, I'm speaking generally about collections. I'm talking business to business and business to government, because I mentioned the government. Now, we also live in a world where people, you can get, yes, as you said, you can get your money paid up front. People can pay you by credit card or swipe or the Cash App or whatever. I'm not talking to that group of people. I'm talking to more of the companies that have the traditional, accounts payable set up and account payable system and accounts receivable and sales and contracts, and they're chasing the larger accounts and they're chasing the larger dollars. But that doesn't exclude the people who are solopreneurs or who have small businesses who may not have the large operation, but you still owed your money. You're still owed your money. And whether, let's say, for example, you have a credit card, somebody swipes your card, and the little note comes through that says, this card was declined. You still, as the person who's providing that service, you still have to go back and ask them, excuse me, your card was declined. Do you have another card? Just having to go ask that question. Some people were like, I'm not doing all that. I'm just not doing all that. But guess what? If you don't do that, then you're not getting paid. So one way or another, you have to end up having a conversation. And I think part of it too, why I'm on a mission to have this conversation, is for people to get comfortable with the fact that asking for money sometimes is hard. It is sometimes very challenging. But if you don't, it's just like it says, if you don't ask for the sale, you're not going to get the sale. And if you're not following up on your money, you're not going to have your money. And you cannot always assume that because you provided the product or the service, the payments are automatically coming. That's the way it should be, provided that there's somebody that's doing the invoicing on a timely fashion, and they're following up and they're making sure. But guess what? As you as a CEO or COO of your business, you should know, here are my contracts. This is how much I got, how much I billed out. This is how much is expected in, and this is the tickle date I need to go through and go, if I haven't seen this money come in by then, I need to, either I or whoever I assign this to needs to do the follow-up. And understanding this, at the end of the day, when you're going to collect your money, I personally believe that there's a few things you need to recognize. Number one, that's another human being on the other side of that phone. Or number two, they are helping you solve your problem. You haven't gotten paid. There's something called just being courteous and showing gratitude. My personal mantra is about showing gratitude. And I say that because of where I started. In the beginning of the conversation, I said I started up doing data entry. So I have worked my way up, and I've learned that being courteous and being grateful to every person that helps me untangle an invoice, a contract, whatever, to get the money, they're owed that moment of thank you. And because here's the thing, what has happened, what has been a staple in my business, a staple in my career, is showing gratitude. Thanking the person that took my call, that did the extra work, that actually got up and go found the document that was missing or whatever it was and moved it along the chain so I or the company could get paid. Going back and saying thank you builds a relationship. And what it shows them is that you're different. You have to find a way to be different. I find that me being courteous and to the best of my ability, and more importantly, showing gratitude and saying thank you is the thing. I can call up companies now that I've worked with in the past. All I say is, hi, this is Dee. Hey, Dee, what do you need? Da, 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 da. Hey, help Dee get this, such and such. You know why? Because I went back and said thank you. I showed appreciation for them helping me get something done. And the fact that I get it. You know, accounts payable and collections, they're thankless jobs. Don't nobody really want to be bothered. But guess what? It's an important part of your business, and you need to be able to do that in order to stay functioning. And so the message is about how secure is your cash flow. Talking to companies about, listen, make sure you know how many contracts you have. You should know who the salesperson is that works for your company and who's the person you dealt with. You ought to know how many invoices you have. You should know how much money is coming in so you can forecast, you can plan. As I shared the story about what happened to us, even though, yes, the $8 million is just a true story. There was $8 million in sales. I collected $6 million, but guess what? We still went on a business. The reason I keep talking about this is because there are some companies that probably have large amounts of money that's owed to them, but they don't want to mess up the relationships. I am not in any way advocating mess up the relationship. I'm saying show the relationship respect, but expect to get your money. And understand, of course, obviously if you're in litigation, there's some difficulties and challenges. That's an exception to the rule. I'm just talking about the basics of basic business. You know, you're selling, you're billing, you're getting paid, and there's a contract. Those are the things I'm talking about. I'm hoping that makes sense to the audience today.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned as you were going through your list is, or maybe we had a conversation, and you said sometimes people don't understand the contract or agreement that they entered into that stated how they were supposed to get their money.
Exactly.
And they missed a step or they didn't. So it could be as simple as you said, something they missed in interpreting their agreement. Yes?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so one of the things, so as I said, you know, so for my it's funny that you said it, thanks to that, because on my logo is actually a puzzle piece, and it's made up of sales, AP, AR, contracts. In your contract, whether it's business to business or business to government, there's usually a section that talks about how to bill for your product or your service, and then how to submit your invoice and how to get paid. And although people are super excited because they won the contract, it's attention to the details. It's attention to the details. A lot of times it's a simple thing. You were supposed to upload the invoice and upload something, and you sent it via email. They're like, well, we don't take invoices via email. We take it through this system, and you need to go back and pay attention. A lot of times, I call the disconnects, because a lot of times when invoices aren't getting paid, it's usually a small misstep. But unfortunately, think about it. If you're a company that has 100 accounts and you got, all these people that are invoicing, somebody's going to miss it. But that's why the importance of having the tracking, of your information. Like I said earlier, your contract, your number, your sales rep, your accounts payable person, your accounts receivable person, and the contracts person, because the contracts person can sometimes say, oh, you know what? They missed this one thing. It's a quick fix. Let me just correct it and move it, and we're done. But that's why the attention to pay attention to details is so important, and also tracking things. I know a lot of times we love the texting and the short emails, 144 characters. But old school, sometimes you have to actually write it down so you can actually see it and go, oh, that's what. And then once you fix it, then you won't keep making that same mistake. Because here's the thing: if you keep missing your payments, eventually you're gonna want to know, like, why do I keep missing this? Oh, because you keep sending it into the wrong PO box. Well, fix it so you can get your money.
It's so good. And I think you also talked about something on your website, 5 successful strategies to collecting your money. I love that.
Thank you so much for that. So what that is basically it's a free PDF for the listeners. And so you go to www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. That's www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. In the middle of the website, it's a PDF. It's a free PDF. You just need to leave your name and your email address, and you can download it. And it's my 5 steps. It's my philosophy. I talk about setting goals, writing it down, affirming it. Being careful of how you talk about collections in terms of, a lot of people have this, I hate collections. But it's a part of the job. And then I also believe personally, you ought to celebrate. Here's the reason why. If you think about it, all of us at some point need a moment to kind of reflect over what we've accomplished, big or small. In the collections world, if you get $5 or $500 or $5,000, to me, that's raise your glass, because look, that's your momentum. Because think about it. All the stuff that took you to get your $5 are the same steps you got to do to get the $500, are the same steps you got to do to $5,000. Do $5 million, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the thing. Once you get some momentum under you and you feel like, yes, I can do this, then you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Let me try the next one. And then, a lot of times it's repetitive, but it's also, you have to be able to see this as a part of the success and the lifeblood of your business, which is making sure your business is solvent and the cash flow is coming in.
Well, you make some great points, Dee, and I know some of the clients I work with had cash flow problems before we started working together, because I am a stickler about we need to get paid. And if you get paid, you can pay me. So
right.
Kind of had a hidden agenda there.
No problem.
But I appreciate you, Sister Boston, for spending this time with us, this time with us. And I want to encourage everyone to run over and check out the information at Dee's site at www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. And you can also reach out to her in the group. All right. So we will talk with you next time. And again, thanks, Dee. Say bye.
Bye. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it. It's been fun. Cheers.